I'm Mark Dresner, and this is Research TV, brought to you by the Market Research Event, the largest and most comprehensive conference in the world dedicated to increasing the business value of insights.
Joining me today is Laurie Monsees. She is the Vice President and Creative Platform Leader at Hallmark. Laurie, welcome to Research TV.
Thanks.
Now, Laurie is an end user, as we know. Tell me a little bit about the innovation process that you champion at Hallmark. What does it look like, and where does research fit into all of it?
Okay. Well, Hallmark has a pretty typical innovation process. It's kind of best practice in the industry to have an innovation funnel and pipeline with stage gates in between. So you have lots of ideation in the front of the pipe, and then as you move through the pipe, you are able to go more quickly. Okay. So there's a lot of iteration at the front, and that's where we really work with research. We go back and forth, qualitative, quantitative, iterate a product or service idea, qualitative, quantitative, iterate, but they're with us the whole time.
Talk to me a little bit about how do you optimize collaboration? How does it play out?
It was funny because I had just read, I guess I was delayed, Tina Fey's book, Bossy Pants, and I was thinking about how collaboration has a lot to do with comedy, especially improvisation, and how open you have to be to everybody else's ideas, and you can't be set in your idea and just kind of wait for the other person to stop talking so you can say your idea. You have to respond to what the other person says. So it really is a dance within the room, and I'm saying within the room because it's kind of a lock-in. You know, there's a lot of us cross-functionally around a table throwing out ideas as generalists. We have our experience that we bring, or our training or our schooling, but when we get in the room, we're just innovation leaders, and we're responding to what the other person says. And the other thing about improvisation, there is kind of some humor. We can't take it so seriously. I mean, we work at Hallmark. Yeah. It's good stuff that we're working on. You know, we're not working at the bomb factory. We might as well have fun with it and enjoy each other. So collaboration is where the juice is for me. And as someone who has a background in creative design and writing and editorial, I welcome the ideas of our research partners because they tend to be very objective, and they also have all this consumer insight floating around in their brains that they are able to pull out at the right moment so that we're not just speaking to ourselves. It's always grounded in what the consumer wants.
And as part of that collaborative process, what's the relationship with research? I mean, obviously there's some fluidity, and you're back and forth iteratively and so forth as needed, but what's the relationship like?
They, you know, technically they sort of report up through another department, but we don't really care about that. I mean, they're adjunct members of our team, and they're with us throughout the process. I mean, there are times when it might not be the best use of a couple of hours for them to sit with the designers, but they do sit with us a lot. They're embedded within our team, and they're assigned specifically to a project so that they really, from beginning to end, are able to follow it through and make sure that our learnings and our insights stay with the program. We don't lose track of those as they go through execution, and then what results at the shelf hasn't pulled through for the consumer.
What types of research tools, techniques, methodologies do you tend to gravitate toward, or use the most, prefer, find the most value in?
So to compare ideas against each other, we have a standardized tool that we call contest, consumer testing, and it combines elements like product differentiation and brand association, and you know, how our solution is differentiated, where consumers would expect to find it, stuff like that. But we also have a number of qualitative tools. We have consumers come in regularly to our building, but we also go out in the field. When they come in, we definitely know there's a little asterisk, right? They're coming into the Hallmark building. They're going to be a little halo. There's going to be a halo there.
Right.
But it helps us directionally from making a big mistake. The value that I see in empathetic exercises for the members of the team.
Yes, yes.
And that includes the research members of our team. They help us sometimes put this together. And, you know, you might have heard it like eat your own dog food. I think 20 years ago it was wear your own pantyhose. Whatever the analogy is that you want to use, you have to put yourself in the consumer's mindset. And so for me recently, I took one of our new concepts home, and when I got it home and was interacting with it with my family, the scale wasn't there. Like the physical scale, it was kind of dwarfed on my kitchen counter, and the words were lazed out, and then I couldn't see it because my backsplash was all busy showing through. And you just can't get that without living it yourself.
Right.
And it keeps you in the real instead of sort of the ideal. You have to acknowledge these things that aren't working about it.
What unmet needs do you have that research could potentially fulfill that aren't being fulfilled right now? Do you have any wish lists or anything like that?
Yes. You know, we recently looked at our innovation process objectively, we hope, and we found that we have lots of great ideas at the front end of our funnel. We ideate like crazy, and because we're Hallmark, we have all these creative people. I mean, we've got a wall filled with Post-it notes of great ideas. And then we're really great at analyzing results after something has launched in the marketplace. There's this big in-between space where we could learn a lot more before we launch a product. So we think we've landed on a concept, but we have assumptions that we haven't quite answered. So we need some kind of learning lab. We need some kind of way to, it's not quite a soft launch, but it's also not just a research group. It's something in between where we have consumers more in the shopping environment, and then we can respond to some major reservations that they might still have that would ensure their success later when it gets to retail.
Yeah, and you're in different, you know, from a retail perspective, you're in different channels, obviously.
Where we have a whole different set of dynamics in a mass channel environment like a Walmart or a Walgreens versus Hallmark Gold Crown, which is our flagship specialty environment. And the mindset that consumers have, the time they want to spend in the store, the kind of shopping trip, what motivated them, those can be very different. And we need to understand both of those really well. And sometimes one product doesn't meet all of those needs, or at least the way we are going to go to market with it.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you for sharing with us.
Great, it was great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. And I really, I think it's very interesting to see how innovation is playing out with researchers' help and where there are opportunities there. So I hope our audience got something out of that today.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
On that note, that concludes this episode of Research TV. I'm Mark Dresner, and you just heard the Insight Scoop.